Welcome to the scene, it's your host TTP. We're flying high in the crypto sky, just you and me. From Bitcoin Rush to Ethereum, we traded all the coins with the trading parody, making that joyful noise. We got bots, we got plots, charts on the big screen. 3 comments to Wick, Hunter with a trading machine. Laughing all the way to the bank, it's a fun parade. With every trade we make, watch how we get paid. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula. In the crypto game, with the vernacular, spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light, trying to trade in peril. We'll teach you how to fight. Dive into the charts, the RSI, liquidity at a glance, trends on the rise. We never leave it up to chance. All trading tools of the champion breed. With AI and math, we're planting the money seed. Laugh with us, trade with us, ain't no looking back. You're with the parrot now, leading the pack. Alpha profits, snap plus with the crypto law. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's on the mic and he's ready to soar. TTP's got the formula, flipping coins like a spatula. In the crypto game with the vernacular, spectacular. From the morning to the night, we're streaming with the light. Join the trading peril. We'll teach you how to fight. Dive into the charts.
Hello guys, welcome to the Train Parrot. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I'm very excited, and as you can see, I'm smiling because last week we were talking about the 4-hour breakout. It was painful. There were 2 fake outs before the actual breakout. I have to be absolutely honest. But on the 3rd attempt, it was magnificent because we managed to get almost to the target of 67K. 67 was the end of the CME gap. If you've been watching the stream last week, you probably know what was the plan. It was tough. And also the altcoins have reached the area of the breakout. Some of them have made already 20%. So in today's stream, I'm going to show you which ones are the ones that made it further from the breakout area. We're going to look into them. Also, some crazy things that are going on with the fees in the network of Bitcoin, even people transferring a few bucks and paying $500,000 just in fees. That's just insane. And I'm going to cover that as well. It's very important because the fees usually soar when you are next to a top. So what has changed, whether I'm worried or not, we're going to cover all that, the daily, the weekly, the altcoins. Remember, prepare your request if you want me to review any of the coins that you like. Just write it down in the comments, and in the second half of the stream we're going to review one by one all your requests. The more noise you make in the comments, the more likes, the more you subscribe, the more happy this channel gets and the better we do. So it's a win-win. Let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. How do I share the screen here? Some things change in Restream this week, so I'm struggling a little bit more with changing stuff that change location. Let's go through the summary of the things that are happening. So first of all, let me know if you can hear properly and see your questions here. No one is saying that the sound is broken or anything, so I'm just going to get started. Last week, I gave an alt update and we talk about render, R, FET, and Shift. Later in the stream, I'm going to go through them, and Sol and Pepe, all of them have done amazing things. It's just impressive how we were anticipating the breakout. Bitcoin behave, of course, that is a must have in order to get this sort of breakouts sustainable and to get those at the very least at 20% to the upside. So that is something I'm going to cover. I'm also going to cover what Total 3 is doing. This is a little bit scary, maybe for the short term, because when you see the RSI doing something like this is on the 4-hour time frame of Total 3. It doesn't mean that you need to take profits. It doesn't mean that there's not more upside. People get confused on my Twitter and they start saying, "Oh, you're calling the top." No, 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 no. Don't get confused. What I'm saying is that when you see something bouncing on a trend line like this with an uptrend, that's fine. This is support. As long as we hold this support, we are fine. But the more bounces on top of the trampoline, I want you to think that the trampoline can break. And once you break this trend line, you are better watching. Okay? Don't look away from this and just say, okay, we got infinite upside. There won't be any pullback. This will tell you when the pullback is coming. Break this trend line on the 4 hour on the RSI, and it's going to become a little bit more shaky. If you want to use RSI, just use the basic RSI standard settings. On the 4 hour, I cover 4 hour or daily. And if you want to use precisely this one that is giving you colors depending on how extended, overbought, oversold, and using statistics like percentile nearest rank to adjust those levels, the mid, the high, and the low, you can just go to my Discord server. And in here, if you scroll down, you're going to find the TTP forum. And in strategies, this is the free area of the Discord server. You're going to find the code and how to add it to TradingView so you can use it together with me. So that is for total free in the alts. And last week, again, still covering what happened last week, we have this breakout. We have two fake outs. This H there is a hidden divergence, but we had placed the dotted line initially below it. And that was our first wrong call out. We were wrong. That was a fake out. Second, here, there was another fake out to the upside. And this was the one that ended up breaking out. We're going to cover how this ended up playing out. And covering a little bit of thought here, these are the fees. People are looking at these fees and are freaking out because you can see that when the fees in the Bitcoin network are going very high, it becomes really scary, right? So look at this. This is one top, second top, and we are like 2 times higher than the highest we ever been. So that is scary, but it could be explained in different ways. One, this is the top. That's the obvious one. That's the one that everybody's freaking out. And number two, it could be explained as well because of all the activity of new activity of NFTs and things that are going on in the network are making things more expensive. So that's another explanation. There's new stuff going on that could also explain it. Could it be a local top? I like the idea that it's a local top at the very least, to be fully honest. Okay, so I've been saying for a while, I sold at 73. I'm reaccumulating lower than 73 from 61 and below is my accumulation zone. But if we continue going higher, so be it. And by the way, we get 50 likes. This is a rule for all my streams. If we get 50 likes in any of my streams, you can start pasting your wallet address, Ethereum, ideally MetaMask, and you can claim any number of the trading parts. For example, you want the 10,001, just write 10,001, you put your wallet. But the stream needs to get 50 likes while we are live. We're going to cover the liquidity. This is a trading light. It's very cool because it shows me the liquidity live, and we can even zoom in. And if we zoom in enough, you start seeing the sizes. You can also hover them. It's pretty cool. We're going to look into where is the liquidity and the shorter term here on Bitcoin. We started the week, so the VWAP are resetting once per week on Monday at 0 hours. And the first support is at 62.5, and we got a chunk of layers of support up until 58K, and a shiny one here, 55, which is not even 500. So relative to those is big, but let's drop this just so we can identify what's the largest one. The largest one is 62.5, and above it, relative to what's below it, there's not much. There's just one level here with 420. That is our current resistance at 66.8. That is our current resistance. Anything above it, just a humble one here at 70 with 300 barely. and that's it. You can go as low as 55 and not much below. There's still some chunk here of caution, but is a lot more shallow than the rest. And the market, as you can see, Monday is looking pretty green. Just a few of them, uh, some meme coins that are interestingly in red, all meme coins, and the rest of the market is pretty much in green, almost all of them. And we have now -3 days because we have passed the halving. We are 3 days away. We need to wait 4 more years. And the actual monthly chart is looking pretty bullish. It will be amazing if we close like this. This looks really bullish, but we still have at least one more week of April. So hopefully we close April like this, and then we are more inclined for the green plan. I prefer the red. You know my preference. I have a bias towards going lower, buying cheaper, but I could become part of the team that of the people that was left with less Bitcoin, and that can happen. That's fine. That's something I was willing to accept. And in the past week, we were covering the funding rates whenever they go red in the bull market. As long as we still stand in bull market area, those are great areas for buying. And I kept receiving notifications throughout the weekend that the funding fees were in red. That means that they're a lot of shorts, and they are exposed because they think that the market's just going to tank, and then if the bull market continues, it makes another higher high. That's the recipe for a short squeeze as well. So it depends on how negative are the funding fees and for how long they stay like that. If it's a full day of negative funding fees, that is a recipe for disaster for the shorts. And the long-term, short-term holders, which is an indicator that I keep monitoring because I want to know what the long-term holders are doing. They know what needs to be done. So we cannot ignore them and just continue doing what the short-term holders do, because those are the dumb ones. Okay, so if we see here, it's difficult to see. I'm going to try to make it more visible, but you can see has become a little bit shallow, right? And these are long-term holders. That's the blue here. And there's a slowdown in terms of how much they are getting rid of, selling. And those slowdown areas that happen here and happen there, and in during a pullback. So during a pullback, seeing the slowdown in the selling and it starts pointing back up, it means that they are increasing the pace of buying it back and thinking that that was the pullback, and they literally represent the most intelligent ones, the smart ones. So we need to see if this is still staying like that. It's starting to curve a little bit down now, but that's why I keep an eye every day on that. Crypto Greed and Fear Index, it went as low. What was our low here? I forgot. I think it's a little bit tough to see this. Let's put it in the 1 year. We have a low of 57. Cool. 57 was our lower low here, and we could go maybe above 90 once more if this continues to be our channel. And currently we are at 73 in terms of greed. And in terms of what the big whales are doing, the largest wallets, you can see that this continues to go lower and lower. The price goes lower as well. And this means that the largest holders are starting to withdraw more than deposit. Good sign, great, continues the trend. And on Cerberus, which is my best friend for trying to time the longer term market, last week, we saw it closing at 13. We were right above the green. Now we are below the green, and we are in progress of printing a warning buy. So this candle is in progress, and hopefully we're going to end up the week in a warning buy. Warning buy, you can see it has been pretty cool. In this one, it was below. It showed the warning buy, but then it started buying it immediately, and it repainted, right? So after the week closed the candle, the warning buy was gone. We have one here, and another dodgy one that disappear here. And in the bear market, they are not as great, but still, this there was a bounce to 48. Here, there was another bounce. So it's really interesting to pay attention to this because it tracks the ratio between stable coins and all the other assets in the crypto market. And when you see that we are in a warning buy area, it means that there's too much in USDT and it tends to bounce from there. So let's continue looking into how it closed next week. And as I was saying in the beginning of the video, we are bouncing onto this trampoline, and this is total free, and we are on the 4 hour. And what I'm looking for is if this thing breaks below and it closes, and of course the trend line goes this way, and then we have some rejection and we start doing something like that. That is when the alts feel a bigger pain. Every time the alts are selling out, they're crashing like crazy. Bitcoin corrects 10-15%, and the alts can correct a lot more than that. And that is difficult to DCA, is difficult to manage after. So keep an eye on that. Don't just buy tops, don't just enter in these areas of the RSI 4 hour and just aim for a little bit longer, and then you just get dumped, and that's it. We want the party to play for longer, right? And that's why you need to manage your risk in this area accordingly. Don't ignore it. Let's see what's going on with the 4 hour on Bitcoin. And 4 hour, unfortunately, shows that there is some sort of exhaustion here because we were bouncing on this. We are doing precisely what I'm telling you to look after on the alts. Remember, Bitcoin does things first, then Ethereum, then top layer, and then you go to the lower cap. And Bitcoin has done it on the 4 hour. So it lost some momentum on the 4 hour. This could be just a pullback, but it's poking on your shoulders and telling you, careful. Here is our breakout from last week and on the 4 hour, and it spanned all the way to 58, and then now today 61. So that's pretty cool. But now we need to be looking into the 4 hour, doing some sort of leg down. It's quite difficult to see the 4 hour just continue doing that. I will expect to see something like this. And let's see if we re-enter here. All of that, I'm going to cover it on Twitter. Make sure you're following me. Trading Parrot is the handle of my account. On the daily, um, on the 18th, we look into this internal breakout. I told you, this one is great to take a smaller position because it's a higher risk. We are still within the channel that is bearish. Still, the momentum is coming down lower and lower and lower. We are inside this channel. To change that, we need to exit this channel, and we need to exit aggressively here to the upside. And that is a recipe to continue going higher. If we get a rejection here on the orange, that is also very painful. If you're following me again on Twitter, I'm telling you that is resistance, and it's very critical because you have this line here and telling you that we are below it. We have this orange line here, and we're below both. So it's critical resistance. Treat it with caution. This is not an area to start along. This is an area that if you enter on your local, this is an area to take profits, partial profits or full profits. Just decide what you want to do, make a decision here, but I wouldn't enter below resistance. If we break out on retest, you could enter. Entering here is very high risk. Some people will do it because they just have conviction and they take a stop loss somewhere there. That's fine. But if you're beginner, you don't know what you're doing, rather taking a much more quality setup for an entry. So we're below it. I'm monitoring. Anytime we break out at the end of today, if we end up the day something like this, you're going to be the first one to know it on Twitter. I will tell you. Breakout from major resistance on daily. Expect further upside, and I'll let you know. Let's look. I think I missed the CPR on the 4 hour. I wanted to mention a few things on the CPR. Very interesting that this has been a resistance, the lower pivot from the CPR, and now it's again resistance here at the same level. That's typical from price action. That's why we are seeing again that this area here has lost momentum, which we can confirm with this line. We are below now this line as resistance. We're no longer bouncing on support and approaching the pivots that currently are our resistance. Everything is making a lot of sense. Get rejection here, we need to see it break it as well. We're going to look later in the video of where is all the liquidity, and there's a heck of a lot of liquidity to the upside. There can be a short squeeze. So this lost momentum because it's an area that needs to be respected. We need to pay attention if this is going to sell to the downside or if there's enough momentum to keep going higher and liquidate the rest of the shorts. Above 70K, there is billions to be liquidated. And if they get liquidated, guess what? The price will go extremely fast to the upside. Of course, those are two scenarios we need to monitor and do what the price tells us to do. We cannot just have a crystal ball, end the stream, and say, we're going higher. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. I cannot tell you that. No one can. You have to know the facts, know what's the status, the scenario, what's your scenario, what are the elements. And then if you see that we are going leaning towards one of them, then you lean together with it and you start following your plan for that outcome, if that makes sense, hopefully. ETFs continue to have volume higher than the moving average. That's a good thing. We are on support. Last week we ended up seeing a darker red, meaning that the sellout, the inflows are reducing, so that's a good thing. On the weekly, I'm starting to see some cool things. Like if we count the times that the weekly has been bought up without losing support, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times that you have big wicks to the downside, and to the upside, you have only 2. So if this was a game of who wins, who loses in terms of the weekly, so far the weekly is holding. But in terms of momentum, is not looking as great because on the weekly, the momentum is lost. We are below our support and we are building this channel on the way to home. The stochastic RSI still pointing down, opening up. It's kind of telling us that eventually we're going to get to here and we're going to be looking for a bullish cross. In the similar way, eventually we get here on the RSI and we're going to be looking and seeing if we can actually use home, this circle here, home, uh, as a next support. And hopefully we respect this one because this is our bull market structure. We want to stay above this thing throughout the bull market, hopefully. And in terms of CME gaps, an update. Remember last week, what did we say? We say we can feel the gap, the daily one that spans from 64 to 67. And even though the wells push the price down multiple times, we build a double top, and then we can see that we have taken now almost all the CME gap, at least the daily one. There could be one building up, a new one on the downside because the market is closed. So we enter here, we open, and the market is opening, and we might create a new CME gap. So that CME gap that we're building is going to be below the price. So keep an eye on that because that is also going to act similar to this one that acted as a magnet to go higher. If we leave a gap below, it's going to tell us that we want to go there and grab that gap. 95% chances that the gaps get filled from CME. So if we build that gap, I'll post it on Twitter as well. Liquidity that's left, you can see half of the liquidity of the upside is taken. We talk about this liquidity here last week. We said that from here, there's a chance that we take this liquidity and we have taken most of it. There's just the higher end there where I assume there's all these billions in liquidations that haven't been taken. Let's look at FAR charts. Let me see if I can zoom in this. This is usually very busy chart. We can see that there is some yellow that is starting to become quite bright, telling us that this 60, the conviction from investors that that could be the floor and that it needs to be bought up, starting to increase. You can see that below, before there were not much liquidity, and now that is increasing. That I have it on 99, but still on 100 you can clearly see it how it's building up. And the purple wells, the leading ones, and the brown ones, the larger ones, are all pointing up. And where is the liquidity of the max pain of the shorts? We're going to cover that as well in the afternoon. I have another stream with Keith from Material Indicators. He's going to bring all the knowledge from FAR charts to help me understand the things that are going on currently in terms of liquidity. But now looking at high block capital, you can see that all this area 73 to 75, there's massive amount of liquidity. So I will say from 70 to 75, we're going to start seeing lots of liquidity. So if this continues going higher and it takes that liquidity there, I will expect a very fast move to 80K. All these people here are going to fuel that move. But for that to happen, we need to break the pivots. The pivots from the CPR that I showed you earlier are currently the resistance and are the difference between just getting rejection here, 66.4 to 69. This could just reject us and this could become just a dead cat bounce. If we catch fire with all that fuel from the liquidations, then that's a recipe to continue going higher. So it's a matter of, arm wrestling between the two forces. And in terms of the delta, you can see that we are at 500K, and the longs are the ones that currently are more in risk. So if there's that rejection as well, there's immediate liquidity below the price as well to punish them. Let's see what I was going to show you. Well, alts. Okay, I want to show you the alts. I want to show you all the different setups that are currently playing out. Like last week, we were monitoring. I put all those things on Twitter with the different setups, RSI on the daily. Yeah, very strong ones, promising quite a big chunk of profits. You could have entered on those, and now if you did, you will be trailing your profits on the way down, on the way up. And anytime that this becomes a fake out, you just take profits and you run home with your profits. That is awesome. Last week, we talked about the weekly Ethereum BTC pair. We have to pay respect to these things to know where we are in terms of alts. And the support on the weekly Ethereum BTC pair is still holding. You can see we close at around 38. That is support still. Very, very small bounce, from the support that is at 37, we bounced to barely above 38. So still respected, but with a lot of pain. It's like a cat grabbing itself from falling from a building and it's just hanging there. If it closed below 37, we'll I will probably will be freaking out much more because we lost the support weekly on the price, and the last resource is to lose the momentum, and the momentum is telling us that that's still support. We are currently in an index of 41. So last week, in the last days of the week, we were at 39, 40, 41. So we are just going sideways here in terms of the performance of the alts versus BTC. Is neither alt season, Bitcoin season. It's just right in the middle. And it's a moment of decision, I guess. You're going to see that once we go to the Bitcoin dominance, how things are starting to look a little bit neutral, to be honest. Some levels are being lost. And on the RSI of all the altcoins on the 4 hour, we are at 61, which is strong. So there's been a big move, and all this move, we're going to see that reflected in the trade setups that I shared last week. All of them are at the very least 20% in profit. There's a few that made only 6%, but most of them did in the range of the 20% because they were good setups. So Bitcoin dominance made it to 57. This was a candle of rejection, and we're seeing some rejection here. I'm not that freaked out by this rejection really, because you can see that this was previously resistance. And as we approach that level, we're quite, slowing down and approaching the 54.8 slowly. So this is important, and we care about this because if this holds, then that's the recipe for another higher high of the Bitcoin dominance. And Bitcoin dominance going higher means that the alts are still not due for doing massive things. So treat this as risk for the odds. If we break this level here, that means Bitcoin dominance becomes weaker. If we break the white line here, even weaker. If we break this one, disaster for Bitcoin dominance. And that means alts are super happy as long as Bitcoin is not crashing together with that, of course. If Bitcoin needs to be going sideways, and Bitcoin dominance needs to go lower to allow for that. So I'm starting to monitor the same way I was monitoring this one for our breakout higher levels of Bitcoin dominance. Now I'm monitoring this line to see when the Bitcoin dominance is due for a cool down, for a real cool down. You can see that we are far from this line. So I'm still leaning towards there might be another push of the Bitcoin dominance as long as we hold this. And I cover that. And let's look at the altcoins. I left you last week saying if we break above this trend line, expect some big moves. So some of them are pretty tricky to understand. And I'm not going to claim, that those are the perfect setup, because if you were in a real trading situation, just looking at this at first sight, it looks amazing, right? You see, oh, there's a breakout, and I took the trade and I went higher. No, we need to be absolutely fair with how we evaluate the success here. And for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the first candle that we went higher than the trend line. And in here, the first candle is already 8.9. So if you waited until candle close for confirmation, you will have entered at 8.9 on render, and you will be now barely 6% in profit. And because this is still pointing up, but it's not great because the breakout went too far away. Of course, it shows a lot of strength. Yeah. But if you wait for the day to close, you are already missing 15% profits. So that is the downside of trading the daily. You miss some of the profits because you wait for a strong confirmation. It's always a trade-off. AR is different because the breakout occur on this vertical line. So you will be now 26% in profit. That's the candle of the breakout according to the momentum. And on shift, similar to render, it's kind of bummer, but you could have gone 7% up, now probably in the 4 or 5. This is outside already. So let's zoom in. Yeah, so on that candle there, you are already outside. You will have broken out, and you could have gone 20% up on Fed. And Pepe is against resistance right now. So that was our support. Now it's our resistance. And you will have broken out in this candle and made a move of 13%. And Solana, last post on Twitter I made, I said it was facing resistance here, and it broke out in the next candle, so in the next day. And since then, from here to here, it has made a move of 5%. Now it's kind of in the same range, not that far. So you can see those are the breakouts. Bitcoin ended up behaving, and now it's pointing up. As long as Bitcoin continues that move to the upside, these trades can be still held. What tells you that these trades might be ended, and this is all the profits that you can take? I will look for that into this particular chart. Sorry, into the total 3. That is my red alert. Okay, if I'm here in support, every time you come here, support, perfect. And remember that during a candle, this can go lower and then get bought up and then end up closing like this. This one was below it for a few moments, then it got bought up and it went back above support. So I tend to act based on candle close. So these are all closes. Yeah, cool. What are we going to do next? We are going to be looking into your setups. But before we do that, let me see, where is my chart of the setups? Any altcoins that you want me to review, just drop it in the live chat on YouTube. That's where I can see them all. And I need to mention what's going on with the bots. So bots are still in progress to recover from some of the big moves to the downside, some of the big sell out that we experienced on the alts. I remind you that I got caught with some of the bots with Uni as well, that got a lawsuit, and that was a little bit painful. I have to rescue a few deals with Solana, do some manual work, and I'm currently back in the profits. Unfortunately, one of the bots was at 60% profit, and then it took like a 40, and then I made 20. It's the game. It's not. It's trading alts is always a risk, and it's all in the disclaimers. If you trade with these particular bots, some of them are very risky. But if you want to do manual trading, I have two special exchanges here that I need to mention. OKX, that is offering 60,000 in the price pool. Link is in the description. There's some also some iPhones and iPad and iWatches that you can win. And if you are looking for a KYC friendly, you have this one that offers 6,000 in rewards called BingX. Both of them are in the description. If you open the account using those links, of course, you help supporting the channel. And at the same time, you get the rewards and you get to pay less fees when you're trading. So thanks for that. Let's go back into the trading setups with the alts. And I'm going to go from the top, reading your comments. And let's see what's going on. GGGG, what is that? I don't know. I'm not going to assume that's a coin. We'd like to see 10, 15% dip on alts from here for some good entries. Yeah, fair enough. Then we got this one. Please review Gary Network white paper. Oh, the white paper, but I'm doing setups. TA. I can do another day, maybe. I want to understand before I buy bulk Gary. A quick review will do. Thanks. I'm not a Gary person. I don't know why you guys are so into that specific coin. Promotion for my channel. No, thanks. I love your new intros. Yeah, it was so much fun to make it. And Gary. Guys, these are just bots. And finally, we have a real request here. Look at Alt, Jupe, Arkham. Wow, those are new coins. We have never got a request for that. I wonder if Alt is an actual coin. But let me see in the chart if I can find something called Alt. Yeah, it does exist. It's been listed on Binance in January, and the momentum is down, and it's not tradable on the daily because it's impossible to see anything with so little action. On the 4 hour, we could see some stuff that is a bit more tradable, like you have this channel with a hidden divergence. So I will be looking for a short if we lose this area there. If you're bullish, you can also use this as support. Is up to you, depending on what Bitcoin is doing, what's the status overall of the market. But if we get a bit more bounces on this line, it will make it a great setup, especially if you have patience to let it, right? So if you see this bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and suddenly around this area you see that, great short up. Unfortunately, also you always have to be paying attention to Bitcoin, because otherwise you get wrecked. And let's look at Jupiter. I think it's called Jupiter. My God, every single coin now is doing the same. They're all bouncing, building some sort of bearish flag. I will say this is a bearish flag. Like if you look at the price action, you got a move down, and then you're having this. So that to me is clearly a bear flag, and it could continue going lower. Not all patterns play out, so don't take this as it has to play out. But if you see somewhere around here a move down, then it's a great short setup. That's for Jupiter. I wouldn't enter along on support here. We are too high. We have bounced too many times. It's kind of a recipe for coming lower. Let's look at Arkham. And you see my point. They're all imitating all the rest of the coins. So let's put it like this, slightly lower. Let me do it more accurate. Something like that. So it's building a double top here. So there should be now a move of this to test support. And there's some rejection here. There's some wicks coming in. Actually, I forgot with the previous coin to look into support and resistance. Let's do it for this one at least. So that is support and resistance, support, 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 resistance, support, retest, and it keeps going. And the next area of support is this one. You can see it got sold there. That was big bounce, support, support. So we are approaching 2.5, and that's why people are starting to sell here. They're thinking, okay, that's it. This was a very aggressive sell. Therefore, some people are not even willing to wait until to get to 5, and they're selling at 2.4. And that's why it's printing here some sort of double top on the momentum, and that could take this one back down to support. This support here at 65 might coincide with that, maybe not. But if lost here, then expect further continuation to the downside. And you can see whenever it's selling, it's being aggressive. So once you lose momentum, expect moves. I will expect moves as big as these ones. Just because you're having here this move, that doesn't mean you're out of the woods. In fact, this could perfectly be just another bear flag again. And with the rest of the coins, if they start looking the same, I'm just gonna skip repeating myself. Ios. It sounds like adios in Spanish. In KuCoin, let's do it on Bybit. Here, for example, you see there's a bullish flag, and it never ended up playing out. So these things don't always play out. Support and resistance is a bit messy, but that was support, resistance, and again resistance. Let me remove the overlay so you can see it a bit bigger. And let's hide this thing here. You can see that we are below 0.78, and its rejection potentially again at that level. We need to see. And in terms of support, our support is there and it's going pretty parabolic here. We need to see how it reacts to this level. Um, I would love to see a rejection, but without selling, because it could complete the uh, cap and hold. What is it called? I forgot the name of the pattern, but this is a double bottom. It also has another name when it's like very sharp and then it's rounded. It has a different name, but I'm not very good at remembering names of things. I'm good at identifying patterns, and I think that's more important than the name. And yeah, this looks a bit bearish. It looks like another sort of bear flag, but we need to see how it reacts to that level, to 0.78. That's the next important level. And the next one, oh my god, there's so many comments now. I lost which one was the last one. Fake out, Dodge. Dodge. Yeah, let's review Dodge. I think I didn't do today. And let's put it back to daily. Interesting. Dodge didn't break out. You can see that render did. The ones that I gave you are Shiv, Fed, Pepe, and Solana. And I gave you Pepe and Solana as the last ones because they were confronting resistance. And the ones that I didn't give you, I didn't give you Gala. Gala broke out, but very humbly. I didn't give you Theta. I didn't give you Dodge. Dodge didn't even break out. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm happy. I'm happy to have given you the most decent ones. I basically organized them in such a way. Let's do the replay. So we were. I made my decision at this day, and let's see what day is this? Wednesday. No, I did it a little bit later. So Thursday and Friday. So this is Friday. At this point, I gave you my review. And why I picked this? Because it was right below resistance at the time that Bitcoin was starting to gain momentum. So try to understand where I'm coming from, why I'm picking certain 4, 5, 6 coins and then leaving out the other ones. Because Bitcoin starts to show momentum. We are below resistance. It's like a race. Who is more keen, more to start running like crazy? The other ones were just goofing around in the lower end, struggling more. These ones were showing strength. And they came as well from a short list from the altcoin season page, which is somewhere here. Where is my altcoin season page? The altcoin season page gives you as well the coins that are outperforming Bitcoin, and that's why we care about them. So that's how I chose to trade those ones and not the rest. Oh, taking me forever. Here's your list. So you go to blockchaincenter.net or you just search on Google altcoin season index. You're going to find this page, and then you go below and you're going to find this list here. Those have been outperforming Bitcoin, are extremely high risk. So you just short list them. You put them in a list all together, all of these guys here, just to focus on what are they doing. And then you read what they do from the RSI, like I did the last week, and those gave 20%. The rest didn't. The rest just goof around 5%, 4%, even sideways. So awesome. Let's go back into the comments and let's see if there's a final one. Let's do near and AVAX. AVAX and near. DJ Fabrizia says, Friday CME gap need to be filled. I am in a short. Let's look at AVAX. I haven't done AVAX, and AVAX ended up breaking out. So this would have been another great call, but I didn't have it in my short list. Not as great, because if you look at this candle on Friday, it was still below resistance. And my selection, my final selection, were all on Friday, right below it, and then they had a big breakout on the candle of Saturday. So this May 13, but you will have to wait for this to close. So you will be barely in a 3%, not as great as the other coins. The request was AVAX, and I forgot near. Yeah, near. Near, I think we already reviewed it a few days ago. So on Friday, it closed below resistance. It didn't break out. It broke out only on Saturday. So it was 1 day late relative to the rest of the better coins. And if you took the trade on Saturday, because it was delayed versus the rest of the coins, you will be 14% up. So, this setup is not bad. I don't know. People keep criticizing it on Twitter, but I really like it. You can tell. And I think we will get AVAX season much like Sol season, so much more upside versus Solana at this stage, in my opinion. And yeah, a little bit more of people chatting, and that's it. There are no more requests. So remember, later today we have another stream coming up. That's going to be different approach, no alts. We're just going to focus on Bitcoin mostly, and we're going to talk about the week, all the events that are coming in. We're going to look into liquidity. So it's going to be fun again with Keith. He's amazing. I really like his channel. All right, guys, see you later today.